Captured. Lyra slowly opened her eyes. Everything felt strange and cold. She didn't know where she was. Her heart raced, and fear filled her mind. She looked around carefully, her eyes wide with worry. She was not in her home anymore. The walls around her were dark metal, and bright lights hurt her eyes. The room was empty except for a few machines. Strange sounds beeped around her. She had never heard anything like them before. Slowly, she sat up. Her head hurt badly, and she felt dizzy. She touched her head carefully and noticed a small bump there. She wondered how it got there. Her memory was unclear. The last thing she remembered was being near her home, walking alone at night. Then there was a bright flash of light, and everything went dark. Suddenly, Lyra heard footsteps coming toward the room. She moved back, scared. Two strange creatures entered. They wore white suits covering their bodies. Glass covered their faces. They looked strange and cold. She realized they were humans. Lyra knew about humans, but she had never met one before. She had heard stories from others on her planet. They had always sounded scary. Now she understood why. One human came closer, holding a metal tool. The human spoke to another in a language Lyra could not understand. Her fear increased. What were they going to do to her? She tried to speak, to ask them what was happening. "Please," she whispered in her soft voice, "let me go." But the humans didn't understand her. They ignored her and began to examine her carefully. They placed cold instruments against her arms and neck. Lyra shivered, frightened and confused. "No," she said louder, moving away. "Stop this." The humans simply grabbed her arms and held her still. Tears filled her eyes. She had never felt this helpless before. Her entire body shook with fear. After what felt like forever, the humans finally stepped away, talking quietly again. They placed her inside a strange cage made of glowing energy. The cage shocked her when she touched it. She quickly pulled her hand back, her heart beating fast with panic. She sat quietly, tears rolling down her cheeks. She didn't understand why they had captured her. What did they want from her? Her heart was heavy with sadness and worry. She missed her home, her friends, her family. Would she ever see them again? As she sat, hopeless and scared, a quiet sound caught her attention. It sounded like gentle tapping, very soft, coming from the wall near her cage. She moved closer, listening carefully. A voice whispered softly through the wall, "Don't worry. I'm here to help you." She jumped in surprise. Her eyes opened wide, searching around her. "Who are you?" she whispered back nervously. "I'm Jack," said the voice gently. "I'm human, but I promise, I am not like them. I don't want to hurt you." "Why should I trust you?" asked Lyra, careful and unsure. "I understand your fear," said Jack kindly. "I will prove myself. I promise I will get you out. You just have to trust me." The kindness in Jack's voice calmed Lyra a little, even though she was still worried. She didn't know if she could trust any human after what had just happened. But she also knew she had no other choice. He was her only hope. "Why are they doing this?" she asked softly, voice shaking. Jack took a deep breath and sighed. "They're trying to study your people. They think your species can help humans survive longer. They are wrong to do this. It's cruel. I can't let it continue." Lyra was quiet. She understood now. She was trapped because humans thought her life was an experiment. She felt angry, afraid, and sad all at once. But Jack's words brought her a little hope. "What do we do now?" she asked quietly. "Be strong and patient," Jack replied. "Soon, I'll help you escape. I promise." Before she could ask more, footsteps sounded again. Jack quickly stopped talking. Lyra moved away from the wall, pretending nothing had happened. A human guard entered the room, checking on her. He looked suspiciously around, noticing nothing strange. Then he turned and left again, the door closing loudly behind him. Lyra sat quietly, thinking deeply. Her fear was still there, but Jack's words gave her strength. She decided she would trust him for now. She would be brave. She knew the coming days would be difficult and dangerous. But now she wasn't completely alone. Someone cared about her and wanted to help. That small feeling of hope gave her strength. She promised herself she would stay strong, waiting carefully for Jack's plan. She had to survive. She would escape this horrible place and return home. But would Jack really help her? Or was this another human trick? Could she truly trust him? Lyra curled up in the corner, afraid but hopeful. She had no choice but to believe Jack's words. For now, secret ally. Lyra woke suddenly. Loud sounds filled the room. Bright red lights flashed angrily on the walls around her. She sat up quickly, fear racing through her heart again. For a moment, she forgot where she was. But when she saw the cold metal walls and the glowing cage, she remembered. She was trapped by humans, far away from her home. What's happening? Lyra whispered nervously, looking around quickly. Outside her cage, humans rushed past. Their voices were sharp and worried. Something was wrong. They spoke quickly to each other in their strange language. She couldn't understand their words, but she saw fear clearly on their faces. Suddenly, the heavy door opened. Jack rushed in, breathing hard. He quickly came close to her cage. His face looked worried, but his eyes were gentle and determined. "Lyra," Jack whispered urgently, looking around carefully. "Listen to me. There's been an accident nearby. It's our chance. I'm going to get you out now." Lyra felt her heart jump with excitement and hope, but also with fear. "Are you sure?" she asked softly, worried something would go wrong. "What if they catch you helping me?" Jack shook his head firmly. "I'll take that risk. You can't stay here another moment. They're planning more painful tests. We have to hurry." He pressed something small against the cage. A soft buzzing noise started, and suddenly the glowing bars flickered. Slowly, the cage disappeared. Lyra was finally free. She stepped forward cautiously, feeling unsure. Jack gently reached for her hand, smiling softly. "Trust me. I won't let anything happen to you." She nodded, holding his hand tightly. They moved quickly to the door. Jack stopped suddenly, looking out into the hallway carefully. Guards were shouting loudly, running in different directions. "Stay close," he whispered, leading her carefully into the hallway. They moved quietly, hidden by the chaos. Smoke filled the air, and alarms continued ringing loudly around them. Jack guided her down a narrow corridor. Suddenly, footsteps echoed loudly behind them. They both froze, pressing themselves tightly against a wall, hearts beating fast. Guards ran past, not noticing them hidden in the shadows. When the hallway was clear again, Jack hurried forward, pulling Lyra gently along with him. "Where are we going?" she asked nervously. "There's a secret tunnel below the lab. It leads outside. We just need to reach it," Jack explained quietly. They reached another metal door. Jack quickly opened it, leading Lyra down a dark set of stairs. She stumbled slightly, scared by the darkness. Jack held her arm carefully, helping her gently. They reached the bottom of the stairs. Ahead, Lyra saw a long, narrow tunnel. It was very dark and cold, but it was their only way to freedom. Jack took out a small flashlight. A weak beam of light appeared, showing a path forward. They moved carefully, staying silent. The tunnel seemed endless. Finally, they saw a faint light ahead, brighter and warmer than their flashlight. Relief filled Lyra's heart. They were almost free. But just as they got closer, angry voices sounded behind them. Jack turned quickly, his face worried. "Run," he shouted, pulling her forward. They ran fast, the voices behind them getting closer and louder. Lyra's legs were weak, but fear gave her strength. Jack stayed close, protecting her as they ran. At last, they'd reached the tunnel exit. Fresh air touched Lyra's face for the first time since she'd been captured. But there was no time to celebrate. They had to keep moving. Jack pointed toward the dark forest ahead. "We need to hide in the trees," he said quickly, breathing heavily. "They'll chase us, but we can lose them there. Together, they ran into the forest. Lyra felt sharp branches and bushes scratching her skin, but she didn't slow down. She had to stay strong. Deep in the forest, Jack finally slowed. They stopped behind large, thick trees, breathing hard. They listened carefully. The angry voices seemed far away now, lost behind them. "Are we safe?" Lyra whispered, her voice shaking from exhaustion. "For now," Jack answered, looking around carefully. "But we can't stop here for long. They'll search everywhere for us." Jack suddenly noticed cuts on Lyra's arms. "You're hurt," he said softly, worry clear in his voice. Lyra looked down, surprised. She hadn't even noticed her injuries during the escape. Jack took a small cloth from his pocket, gently cleaning her cuts. His kindness surprised her, and warmth filled her heart. "Thank you," she said quietly, feeling shy. She looked into Jack's eyes and saw only kindness and care. Jack smiled gently. "You don't need to thank me. This was the right thing to do. No one deserves to be hurt like that." He finished cleaning her wounds, gently holding her hands. For the first time, Lyra felt safe with a human. Jack was different, kind, brave, and caring. "What will happen next?" she asked, worried again. "Will they ever stop chasing us?" Jack's expression grew serious. "It won't be easy, but I promise to protect you. We'll find others who will help us. There's a safe place we can go. You'll be safe there." Lyra wanted desperately to believe him. She had been through so much pain and fear, but Jack had already proven himself. She decided she would trust him completely now. "Then let's go," she said bravely, squeezing Jack's hand firmly. "I'm ready." Jack smiled, amazed by her strength. Together, they moved deeper into the forest, knowing their journey had just begun. But behind them, far away, angry voices still searched. Lyra knew they were not safe yet. The danger was far from over. Escape attempt. Lyra woke up suddenly. It was still dark. The cave felt cold and quiet. For a moment, she couldn't remember where she was. But then she saw Jack sitting near the cave's entrance. He watched outside carefully, his face serious. "Jack?" she whispered softly, moving toward him. He turned quickly, smiling gently. "You're awake. Good. We need to move soon. They're already looking for us everywhere." Lyra felt nervousness in her heart again. "Did they find our trail?" Jack nodded slowly, worry clear on his face. "Yes. Guards were close by a few hours ago. They had search drones, small flying machines that can see in the dark. We're lucky they missed us." Lyra shivered slightly, thinking of being captured again. She would rather die than return to that painful cage. Jack noticed her fear and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, trying to comfort her. "I won't let them take you again, Lyra," Jack said firmly, his voice calm but strong. "We just need to keep moving." She nodded bravely, trusting him completely. "Where will we go now?" Jack glanced toward the dark forest outside the cave. "There's a hidden village deep in the mountains. Good humans live there. They don't support what was done to you. They'll protect us and hide you until it's safe." Lyra felt hope rising in her chest. A safe place, surrounded by good people, sounded wonderful. But she knew the journey would be dangerous. Together, they stepped out of the cave. The air was cold and damp. The forest around them felt quiet, almost too quiet. Jack moved carefully, always looking around, alert for danger. Lyra stayed close, following his every step. Hours passed as they traveled through dense trees, moving quietly to avoid being seen. Suddenly, Jack stopped sharply, signaling for her to be silent. Lyra's heart started beating fast. She held her breath, listening carefully. In the distance, faint buzzing sounds approached. Jack's eyes widened in alarm. "Drones. Quickly, hide." Jack grabbed her hand, pulling her behind thick bushes. They crouched low, barely breathing. Above them, small flying machines moved slowly, searching carefully through the trees. The drones' bright lights scanned everywhere. Lyra closed her eyes tightly, whispering silently, praying they would not be found. She squeezed Jack's hand, her heart pounding. After what felt like forever, the buzzing slowly moved away. Jack relaxed slightly, letting out a quiet sigh of relief. "That was too close," he whispered, checking carefully before standing again. "We have to hurry." They moved faster, running through the darkness. Lyra felt exhausted but refused to slow down. The fear of being caught pushed her forward. Finally, the forest began to thin, and ahead, tall mountains rose sharply. Jack pointed toward a narrow path leading upward. "That path leads to the village," he said softly. "We're almost there. Just hold on a bit longer." As they began climbing the rocky path, Lyra felt hope and relief returning. But suddenly, a loud voice shouted from behind them. Her blood ran cold. "Stop! Don't move." They turned quickly. 3 human guards stood at the bottom of the path, weapons pointed at them. Their faces were hard, cold, and angry. "You can't escape," one guard yelled, stepping closer. Jack moved protectively in front of Lyra, shielding her. "Don't touch her," he shouted back defiantly. "She's innocent. You're the monsters here." The guards ignored him, moving forward quickly. Jack grabbed Lyra's hand tightly. "Run," he yelled desperately. Together, they raced up the rocky mountain path, hearts pounding. Behind them, angry voices and heavy footsteps chased closely. Lyra felt her feet slipping on loose rocks, but Jack held tightly onto her hand, refusing to let go. She forced herself forward, determined not to give up. The guards fired their weapons, blasts hitting rocks near their feet. Sharp pieces flew everywhere, cutting into their skin. Still, they kept running. Just ahead, a heavy metal gate appeared, set deeply into the mountainside. Jack shouted desperately toward the gate. "Open. Please, help us." At first, nothing happened. The guards closed in behind them, weapons raised again. Lyra closed her eyes, waiting for the worst. But suddenly, the gate moved, slowly sliding open. A group of friendly humans rushed out, quickly forming a protective line around Jack and Lyra. The newcomers wore strong armor and held powerful weapons. The guards stopped, surprised and angry. "Let them go," shouted the leader of the friendly humans, his voice firm and brave. "You have no right to harm them." The guards hesitated, angry but outnumbered. Finally, they slowly moved back, their faces filled with frustration. "We'll return with more soldiers," one guard warned darkly. "You can't protect them forever." "We'll see," replied the friendly leader calmly. "Now leave." When the guards finally left, Jack and Lyra nearly collapsed from exhaustion. The friendly humans quickly led them safely inside the hidden village. Behind the gate, gentle hands offered them water, warmth, and comfort. The village was filled with quiet kindness. People smiled gently, welcoming them without fear or anger. Jack turned toward Lyra, relief clear on his tired face. "We made it," he whispered softly, smiling at her gently. "You're safe now." Lyra looked around, amazed by the kindness of these new humans. Her eyes filled with grateful tears. She squeezed Jack's hand tightly, deeply thankful to him. "Yes," she replied softly, finally feeling safe. "We made it, because of you." But deep down, Lyra knew their fight wasn't finished. The guards would return, stronger than before. For now, though, she would rest, grateful for Jack and the kind humans who protected her. Soon, she knew she would have to face danger again. But this time, she wouldn't face it alone. Separated worlds. Lyra slowly opened her eyes, waking up gently. Sunlight shone softly through the small window, making the room warm and peaceful. For a short moment, she almost forgot everything that had happened. But memories quickly flooded back, and worry filled her heart again. She sat up slowly and looked around. She was in a small, comfortable room in the hidden village. It felt safe here, surrounded by friendly humans who protected her. But Jack wasn't there. She felt lonely without him. A quiet knock at the door startled her. "Come in," Lyra called softly. The door opened slowly, and a young woman stepped inside. She had kind eyes and a gentle smile. Her name was Sarah, and she had cared for Lyra since their arrival. "Good morning, Lyra," Sarah said gently. "Did you rest well?" Lyra nodded softly, though sadness showed in her eyes. "Yes, but I miss Jack. Do you know anything about him?" Sarah hesitated slightly, her smile fading a little. "Jack is alive, but he's still in trouble. Our scouts learned he was captured during a supply run last night." Lyra's heart filled with sudden fear. "Captured? Where did they take him?" Sarah sat gently beside Lyra, comforting her softly. "The humans who took you before now have him. They want to punish him for helping you escape." Tears filled Lyra's eyes. She felt deep guilt. Jack was in danger because of her. "We have to help him," she said desperately. Sarah nodded firmly. "Our people are already planning a rescue, but it's very dangerous. The lab is heavily guarded now. Jack knew the risks, but he still chose to save you. He wouldn't want you to blame yourself." But Lyra could not help feeling responsible. Jack risked everything for her. She had to do something to help him now. Later, Lyra walked through the village, noticing the kind faces of humans who smiled softly at her. They were so different from those who had hurt her before. These humans lived peacefully in hidden homes built into trees and cliffs. It reminded her a bit of her own home, far away on another world. She remembered her family again, missing them deeply. She wondered if she would ever see them again. It felt strange to trust these new humans, but their kindness was genuine. They had risked their lives to protect her, even though she was different. An older man named Marcus approached her quietly. He was the village leader, wise and gentle. "You seem troubled, Lyra," he said softly. "Tell me what's on your heart." Lyra spoke softly, her voice shaking. "Jack is captured because of me. I must do something to help him. He saved my life." Marcus nodded kindly, his eyes gentle and understanding. "Jack knew the risks, and still he protected you. That speaks of his heart. But you're right. We can't abandon him. We must plan carefully. You must remain patient." Lyra struggled with the idea of waiting. Every moment Jack spent imprisoned made her feel helpless. She wandered slowly toward the edge of the village, deep in thought. Suddenly, she heard voices coming from the trees. Quietly, she moved closer, hiding behind thick bushes. She listened carefully. 2 villagers were speaking worriedly. "The guards doubled patrols around their base," said one softly. "Rescuing Jack now will be impossible." The other villager sighed sadly. "Maybe we should wait. It's too dangerous to try." Lyra felt her heart sink. They wanted to give up. She couldn't accept that. She silently stepped away, determination growing stronger. She decided she would not wait. She had to rescue Jack herself. That night, when the village slept, Lyra quietly gathered supplies. She took water, food, and a small flashlight. Her heart pounded with fear, but her determination was stronger. She couldn't let Jack suffer another day. Carefully, she left the safety of the village, moving silently through the dark forest. She remembered Jack's teachings, staying hidden in shadows and walking quietly. Soon she reached the forest's edge and saw the facility in the distance. Its bright lights looked cold and dangerous. She approached slowly, staying hidden among the trees. Guards patrolled everywhere, and bright searchlights scanned the area carefully. Lyra waited patiently, watching their movements. Her hands trembled nervously, but her heart was brave. Finally, she noticed a small opening in their patrol. She moved quickly, silently slipping past the guards, hiding behind crates and buildings until she reached the large building where Jack was held. Carefully, she entered through a small window. Inside was cold and quiet. She moved slowly through dark hallways, following sounds of muffled voices. Her heart beat faster with each step. She peeked inside a small, dark room. Her heart nearly stopped when she saw Jack. He sat quietly, chained to the wall. His face was bruised, but his eyes were still strong. "Jack," she whispered softly, stepping forward quickly. Jack looked up, surprise and relief filling his eyes. "Lyra, you shouldn't have come. It's too dangerous." She shook her head firmly, moving closer. "I won't leave you. You risked your life for me. Now it's my turn to save you." Quickly, she began trying to remove his chains. Jack watched her carefully, amazed by her bravery. Suddenly, loud footsteps sounded outside. Guards rushed toward them angrily. Jack's eyes filled with worry. "Lyra, hide. Quickly." She hesitated, unwilling to leave him. But Jack urged her firmly. "Please, if they catch you, it'll all be for nothing." Heartbroken, Lyra hid quickly in the shadows, tears in her eyes. Guards rushed into the room, angry voices shouting at Jack. They dragged him away roughly, taking him deeper into the facility. Lyra remained hidden, feeling helpless again. Jack was lost once more. Her heart ached deeply, but now her resolve was stronger than ever. She would never stop fighting for him. She promised silently that she would find a way. No matter how dangerous, she would rescue Jack, just as he had rescued her. She returned quietly to the village, determination burning fiercely inside her. She would find allies. She would plan carefully. She knew now that her and Jack's worlds were deeply connected. Nothing would stop her from freeing Jack, not even the humans who had taken everything from her. Their bond was stronger than ever, and it was now her turn to fight for him. Risk everything. Lyra couldn't sleep that night. She sat quietly near the window, looking up at the stars. Her mind was full of worry, her heart heavy with thoughts of Jack, trapped again because of her. She had decided firmly that she would risk everything to save him. But she couldn't do it alone. She needed help. Early in the morning, she went to Marcus, the kind village leader. He was already awake, sitting by the fire, thinking deeply. "Marcus," she said softly, stepping closer, her eyes full of determination, "I need your help." He looked at her gently, understanding her immediately. "You want to rescue Jack," he said calmly. "Yes," Lyra replied strongly. "I have to. He saved my life, and I can't just wait here safely while he suffers." Marcus nodded slowly, his face thoughtful. "It's dangerous. You risk losing everything." "I know," Lyra said bravely, "but I must try. Will you help me?" Marcus was quiet for a moment, carefully watching Lyra. He saw strength and determination clearly in her eyes. Finally, he smiled gently. "You're very brave, Lyra," he said softly. "Jack risked his life for you. It's only right we help you save him. But understand this, it won't be easy." "I understand," Lyra answered firmly. "I'm ready for whatever we must face." Marcus quickly gathered the village's strongest warriors and skilled people together. He spoke clearly, explaining Lyra's plan. The villagers listened closely, their eyes serious. They respected Jack deeply and agreed quickly to join the mission. Sarah approached Lyra gently, offering a warm smile. "You're brave, Lyra. We'll stand with you. Jack was brave when he freed you. Now we'll do the same for him." The villagers carefully prepared their weapons, food, and medical supplies. They planned the rescue in detail, knowing the humans guarding Jack would be prepared this time. Later that night, the rescue team gathered at the village gates. Lyra felt nervous yet strong. She would risk everything tonight, determined to save Jack. Quietly, they left the village, moving swiftly through the dark forest. Marcus led them, his eyes sharp and careful. Lyra stayed close behind him, her heart racing with anticipation. After a long journey, the dark, familiar outline of the human facility appeared. Guards patrolled everywhere, armed and alert. Searchlights moved constantly, lighting the area around the building brightly. Marcus quietly signaled everyone to wait in the trees, carefully studying the guards' movements. "We have one chance," he whispered firmly. "Timing must be perfect." Lyra nodded, her breath steady but tense. She knew this was their only chance. Marcus waited until the guards briefly moved away from the back entrance. "Now," Marcus whispered sharply, and the rescue team quickly moved forward. They ran swiftly, hidden in shadows, reaching the wall silently. A skilled villager quickly unlocked a door, and they entered quietly. Lyra felt her heartbeat quicken with both fear and determination. She moved silently beside Marcus as they traveled carefully down dark halls. Suddenly, alarms sounded everywhere. Lights flashed brightly red. Guards shouted angrily, running from all directions. "They knew we were coming," Marcus shouted, frustration clear in his voice. "Move faster." Lyra ran quickly, fear gripping her again. But she refused to retreat. She had to find Jack. The team fought bravely against attacking guards, protecting her as she rushed deeper into the building. She finally reached the room where Jack had been imprisoned. She quickly opened the door, stepping inside. But Jack wasn't there. Instead, the room was empty. Fear flooded her heart. Where was he? A voice came suddenly from behind her, cold and angry. She turned around quickly, facing the sharp-eyed scientist who had tortured her before. The woman stood calmly, guarded by soldiers. "You really thought you could save him?" The woman sneered. "Jack betrayed us. Now, you'll both pay the price." Lyra stood tall, hiding her fear bravely. "Where is Jack?" she demanded strongly, anger in her voice. "What have you done to him?" The scientist smiled coldly. "He's alive. For now. But his life depends on your surrender." Lyra's heart sank. They wanted her again, offering Jack's safety as a cruel trade. She had no choice. "Let him go, and I'll surrender," she said firmly. The woman smiled coldly. "First, you must come with us." Suddenly, noise exploded around them. Marcus and his warriors rushed inside, fighting bravely. Chaos filled the small room. Weapons fired, bright flashes lighting the darkness. In the confusion, Lyra quickly escaped through another door, racing desperately through the facility, determined to find Jack. She reached another locked door, breaking it open quickly. Inside, chained to a chair and weak from pain, was Jack. "Lyra," he gasped weakly, shocked to see her. "I'm getting you out," she replied firmly, quickly freeing him. Guards chased close behind, but Lyra refused to slow down. Jack stumbled, weak and injured. Lyra supported him, leading him quickly toward the exit. Marcus appeared suddenly, holding off the guards bravely, giving them time to escape. "Run," Marcus yelled, fighting bravely with the soldiers. "We'll hold them." Lyra and Jack rushed outside, explosions and gunfire echoing behind them. They moved into the forest once again, heartbeats racing with fear and adrenaline. They finally reached a safe spot hidden in the trees. Jack collapsed, breathing heavily, his wounds painful. Lyra gently cared for him, tears in her eyes. "Why did you risk everything for me again?" Jack asked weakly. Lyra smiled softly, gently holding his hand. "Because you risked everything first. You're my friend, Jack. Humans and my people don't have to be enemies. You've proven that to me." Jack smiled softly, exhausted but grateful. "I would risk it again and again, Lyra. You're worth it." Deep in the forest, as their hearts slowly calmed, they both knew their fight wasn't over yet. The humans hunting them would never stop easily. But now neither was alone. They had each other, their bond stronger than ever. Together, they would survive whatever came next. Heartfelt bond. Jack sat quietly beside a small fire deep in the forest, his body weak and injured. Lyra gently cared for his wounds, carefully placing soft bandages on his cuts and bruises. The gentle glow from the fire lit their faces warmly, comforting them after the terrible battle they'd just escaped. Lyra's hands shook slightly as she worked. She couldn't help thinking how close she'd come to losing Jack forever. Guilt filled her heart again, knowing all his pain was because he'd chosen to help her. "I'm sorry, Jack," she whispered softly, unable to look into his eyes. "You're hurt because of me. Maybe I shouldn't have come here. Jack reached out gently, taking her hand softly. He shook his head, smiling gently. Don't say that, Lyra. You saved my life. I'd choose to help you again, every single time. Lyra looked up slowly, her eyes wide and full of warmth. Jack's kindness always amazed her. He was unlike any human she'd ever imagined. Brave, selfless, and caring. He had risked his life for someone who wasn't even from his world. I never imagined a human could be like you, she admitted softly, feeling shy but honest. My people fear humans. They think you're dangerous and cruel. But you're different. Jack smiled quietly, watching her thoughtfully. Most humans aren't cruel. They're just scared of things they don't understand. But you changed everything for me, Lyra. You showed me there's more to life than just surviving. There's trust, friendship, maybe even love. Lyra felt warmth rise in her heart. She had never expected to feel so strongly about anyone, especially a human. But Jack was special. He had opened her heart to something she'd never imagined before. On my world, she began softly, we believe love connects beings deeply, but I never thought I'd find that here. Not with a human. Jack squeezed her hand softly, smiling gently. Maybe we were always meant to meet. Maybe our worlds aren't so different after all. Lyra smiled back gently, feeling the deep connection between them. But suddenly, her smile faded, replaced by worry. But what happens now? Those humans won't stop hunting us. Jack's face turned serious, and he nodded slowly. You're right. They'll never stop. But we don't have to face them alone. We have friends now. Humans who want peace. Your people and mine. They're not enemies. They just haven't learned to trust yet. Lyra's eyes lit with hope. Do you think humans and my people could really live together peacefully someday? Jack smiled softly, hope in his eyes. If we show them how, by staying together, protecting each other, then yes, I believe it's possible. Lyra gently rested her head against Jack's shoulder, feeling safe and comforted by his words. She realized in that moment just how much Jack had changed her life. Before him, she knew only fear. Now, she knew courage, trust, and even love. Suddenly, soft footsteps approached, making both Jack and Lyra quickly alert. From the shadows stepped Marcus, Sarah, and a small group of villagers. They looked tired but relieved to see Jack and Lyra safe. Marcus smiled warmly at them both. I'm glad to see you're alive. The guards retreated, but they'll return soon. We must move to a safer place. Jack stood up slowly, helped gently by Lyra. Thank you, Marcus. You've risked everything for us. Marcus nodded kindly, placing a firm hand on Jack's shoulder. We protect each other. You showed courage and kindness toward Lyra when others only showed cruelty. We'll always stand beside you both. Sarah smiled warmly at Lyra. Our village has already chosen our path. We'll defend you both. Your bond shows us peace between humans and your people is truly possible. The group quickly gathered their belongings, preparing to move again. Together, they walked deeper into the forest, toward a hidden shelter far away from danger. Jack and Lyra walked closely together, their hands joined tightly, feeling comfort in each other's presence. Hours later, they arrived safely at a secret home hidden within tall cliffs. Inside was warm and welcoming, filled with soft lights and friendly faces. Here, humans and even a few aliens lived peacefully, far away from the conflict. Lyra felt amazed and hopeful. I never thought humans and aliens could live together peacefully, she whispered softly to Jack. Jack smiled gently, pulling her closer. It's proof we aren't so different. We all want safety, peace, and love. This could be the start of something bigger. That night, after everyone settled safely into their new home, Jack and Lyra sat quietly under the open stars. The night sky was clear and filled with gentle beauty. Lyra looked up, remembering her home planet and family. She wished they could see her now, safe and loved. Jack noticed her sadness and gently squeezed her hand. "Do you miss your home?" She nodded softly, her eyes glistening with tears. "I do, but being here with you makes it easier. You make this feel like home." Jack smiled warmly, feeling his heart fill with deep affection. "I'll always be your home, Lyra. Wherever we go, as long as we're together, we'll be safe." Lyra looked deeply into his eyes, feeling certain now about her future. She trusted Jack fully, and together they would face whatever came next. Quietly, softly, she spoke words she'd never said to anyone before. "Jack, I love you." Jack's eyes widened slightly, then softened warmly, happiness filling his heart completely. "I love you too, Lyra. Always." Under the gentle stars, they held each other closely, their bond now stronger and deeper than ever. They knew danger might return, but together, they felt ready. Their worlds, once separated by fear, were now joined forever by love. Together forever. Days passed peacefully in the hidden village. Humans and aliens lived together, learning from each other, building friendships, and slowly creating trust. Lyra and Jack found happiness, safe in each other's company, their love growing stronger every day. But the peace didn't last. One calm morning, alarms suddenly rang through the village. Panic filled the air. Jack quickly rushed outside, with Lyra close behind. Villagers ran everywhere, gathering weapons, fear clear on their faces. "What's happening?" Jack asked Marcus urgently. Marcus looked serious, worry darkening his eyes. "They found us. Soldiers from the facility have returned, and they brought more reinforcements this time." Jack's heart sank. "How many?" Marcus's voice was heavy. "Too many. They surround us from all sides. We have nowhere else to run." Lyra stepped forward bravely, determination in her eyes. "Then we must face them. If we run again, they'll never stop." Jack nodded firmly, standing beside Lyra. "She's right. We have to show them peace as possible." The villagers gathered quickly, forming a strong line of defense. Jack and Lyra stood together at the front, holding hands firmly, their bond visible to everyone. Humans and aliens stood side by side, united for the first time. Soon, soldiers appeared through the trees, heavily armed, their faces hard and determined. Their leader stepped forward, his voice loud and commanding. "Surrender now. Give up the alien girl and Jack. This can end peacefully." Jack stepped bravely forward, his voice strong and clear. "No, we refuse. You've seen we're no threat. All we want is peace." The leader laughed coldly. "Peace? Humans and aliens can't live together. It's impossible." Lyra spoke firmly, stepping beside Jack, her voice filled with quiet strength. "You're wrong. Look around. Humans and aliens stand here together, protecting each other. You're fighting against something that doesn't have to be your enemy." The soldiers hesitated slightly, confusion appearing on some faces, but their leader shook his head stubbornly. "Don't listen to her," he shouted angrily. "They're tricking you." Jack shook his head sadly. "We aren't the enemy. Fear and misunderstanding are. Let us show you the truth." Suddenly, Marcus stepped forward bravely, addressing the soldiers. "Many of you know me. I fought with you once, believing we had to destroy our differences. But these two, Jack and Lyra, showed me another way. Our differences don't have to divide us. They can make us stronger." The soldiers whispered uncertainly, doubt clearly growing. Their leader grew angrier, losing patience. "Enough. Capture them all." Soldiers began advancing, weapons ready. Villagers prepared for battle, determined yet afraid. Jack and Lyra stood firmly together, unwilling to surrender. Then, something incredible happened. From the forest edge, a bright, beautiful light filled the area. Everyone turned, amazed. Stepping slowly from the glow were figures from Lyra's home planet. Her people. They had finally arrived, coming to find their lost friend. Lyra gasped softly, tears filling her eyes. My people. Jack stared in awe as Lyra's people gently approached, standing firmly beside humans and aliens alike. Their leader spoke softly, kindly. We searched long to find our lost sister, Lyra, but we found something even more precious. Hope. Humans and our kind standing together, united. This is a beautiful thing. The soldiers, shocked by this peaceful alliance, hesitated again. They lowered their weapons slowly, unable to fight such overwhelming proof of peace. Their leader, confused and angry, stepped forward. What is this? You cannot stand with these aliens. Jack stepped forward calmly, facing the angry man. Can't you see? Humans, aliens, none of that matters. We're all alive, all wanting peace. Fear has kept us apart, but courage can bring us together. Slowly, soldiers began to lower their weapons fully, convinced finally by Jack's words and the clear truth before them. One by one, they stepped back peacefully, choosing no longer to fight. The leader, now alone, felt his anger fading. He saw clearly the friendship and unity around him. Defeated, he lowered his own weapon, finally understanding. Marcus spoke softly, kindly reaching out to the former enemy. Come join us. We don't want war, we want harmony. In the end, peace had finally won. Humans, aliens, and even former enemies gathered peacefully, finally understanding each other clearly for the first time. Later, beneath a beautiful evening sky filled with gentle stars, the village celebrated together. Joy filled the air, music and laughter replacing fear. Jack and Lyra stood close, their love now free from danger, strong and true. Lyra turned to Jack, smiling warmly. You changed my life, Jack. Without you, I would never have believed this was possible. Jack smiled gently, touching her face softly. We changed each other's lives. You showed me courage and taught me to love without fear. Marcus stepped forward happily, raising his voice above the celebrations. Today, we've proven peace is real, not a dream. Humans, aliens, we are now one community, one family. And we owe it to these two brave hearts, Jack and Lyra. Cheers erupted joyfully. Everyone celebrated, happiness finally replacing fear. Under bright stars, Jack gently took Lyra's hand, feeling deep happiness in his heart. Our worlds are finally united, together forever. Lyra smiled warmly, squeezing his hand softly. Together, always. That night, beneath peaceful skies, Jack and Lyra promised their love forever, knowing they'd changed the hearts of many. Their brave story showed everyone that love and courage could conquer fear. Their worlds had been separated by misunderstanding, but now reunited forever by love. And from that moment, peace blossomed, creating a brighter future for all. Jack and Lyra had risked everything. Now, together forever, their bond showed the universe just how powerful love could truly be.